gotta make a play right now. No feeling in her. Look, know I'm on my way. How I put this shit together, guess that's just fate. All these thoughts in my brain had to maintain. But I'm a boss, I evolve, it ain't no shame. You see, we all got pain that we stow away. What's good, y'all? Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of KIAB with Benji. Hey man, today we're talking about expectations, perceptions, and reality. I don't know why I was confused on what I'm talking about today. Anyway, yeah, I did just get back from work. That's probably why I'm a little tired, you feel me? But I ain't gonna cap. I'm talking about expectations, perception, and reality. You know, at the time of birth, you know, I believe is where we see the world to its, I guess, purest form. You know, most unbiased POV. You know, as we grow older into adolescence, we create or we have like a certain, like, I guess, expectation and perception on how the world truly is, quote unquote, truly. You feel me? You know what I mean? It's forced on us by like what we experience in life. You know, some people grow up in an abusive home, so love to them is violent. You know what I mean? Maybe you grew up in a loving home. So maybe you grew up in a loving home with two parents. You know what I mean? So the love for you is like man, woman need to be together, thick and thin, no stress. That's love to you. The thing is, the reality of the world is much more complex than that, and it's way harsher. You know, until we experience something that, you know, alters our perception, like of a certain topic, we will have an unrealistic expectation of like what it really is. Our reality will be warped. Like, what is one of the first like expectations we have growing up? The number one thing that crosses my mind is that adults have their shit together. You know what I mean? Due to always having a roof over their head, you know what I mean? Food in your stomach, you know what I mean? Like for me, I had that, and I looked up to my mom, you know, who was the adult in my life. You feel me? And I had a perception that everything was good with her. You know what I mean? The reality of the situation after we started talking and after I had my grown up conversation with her, you know what I mean? It wasn't all good. You know what I mean? There were stresses there. She's raising two kids basically by herself. You know what I mean? And she didn't have it all together. Taking it day by day like everybody else. You know what I mean? I grew up fast. You know what I mean? After I saw my grandfather pass at 9, I grew up fast, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? I always been good at, I guess, reading people. You know what I mean? So even though I never had that conversation with my mom growing up, you know what I mean? I saw that there was stresses. You know what I mean? I saw that she was stressed out. You know what I mean? So for me, I was trying to just be, I guess, the best child I could be. You know what I mean? Never wanted to stress her out. Never wanted to do too much. You feel me? Just stayed in my pocket. You know what I mean? Stayed to myself. Like for me, and the thing is, the thought of growing up, you know, for me, it was never like I'm excited. It's like, to me, it was like, oh, I know what's gonna happen. But the thought of growing up that excites the young mind. You know what I mean? We have a perception of what growing up is as kids. You know what I mean? All we want to do as kids when we kids is when we want to grow older. You know what I mean? We want to do the things that the adults can do. You know what I mean? The sex, you know what I mean? Having money, driving, you know what I mean? Just paying bills. All that shit. Like, that's what we see when we grow up. You know what I mean? We create like an image of what fun we're gonna have when we grow older. You know what I mean? It's perception. The reality is, it's not what it truly is. You know what I mean? Adolescence for most is, I probably say, engulfed in like innocence and wonder. You know what I mean? You see the world and you just confused. You know, being somewhat sheltered my whole life, you know, I wanted to grow up as fast as I possibly could. You know what I mean? As soon as I gained some financial stability, I was gone. You know, I moved out. I moved out at 20. Yeah, I moved out at 20 years old. You know, I thought I was ready for it, and then reality hit. You feel me? Bills, work, exhausted, depression, all that hit me like a brick. You feel me? Like that brick that this nigga Craig picked up, smacked the fuck out of Debo. That brick. all hit me at once in a fell swoop, and I truly had to like grow up and find myself. My expectation of life, excuse me, my expectation of life was to grow up, get a job, uh, find a wife, white picket fence, the quote unquote American dream that you see on TV, in the news, on the movies. That's what I saw. So that became my goal, just it's what I wanted. And speaking of TV as like or like just media in general, you feel me? Like what we see via the news, the movie, TV, social media now, because it's more prevalent than ever. It shapes how we view the world, how we view people. The news is a very powerful media outlet. They usually separates black, white, blue versus red. You know what I mean? And that creates a certain image. It creates like a certain, what's that word called? It's like you're separate. It's like separate lives. Like black people, white people have separate lives. Blue versus red have separate lives. So like we're not all human. It's a perception. You know what I mean? Like, and for the news, like you got history being like revisited. You got history being buried. You know what I mean? You know the shit I'm talking about, that real shit. African Americans being shit judged. You know what I mean? Put in the spotlight as criminals, shit like that. Even I had a viewpoint on my own race. You know what I mean? Because I was looking at the news, as a youngin', and I saw like, damn, niggas really be doing that. That's what we do. You know what I mean? I was talking to somebody I was working with. Somebody I worked with, and I had asked him a question like, now what do you think like immigrant parents, think of black people? And he actually grew up from an immigrant family, but I had asked him, and I was like, just really think about it. Like, if you look at the news and you see how we're portrayed, what do you think your parents would think, or somebody that you don't know, an immigrant, come over, who like, what do you think they're gonna think? You have a perception of black people, and then there's an expectation as well. I went off on a little tangent right there, but it's just like, that's how powerful that shit is. When somebody puts up an image of you, they can make a perception, they can make a reality that isn't true. Or even love, something that we all want. Love has expectations around it. I think we see love for the first time, from probably our mothers, those who are blessed enough to actually have mothers, truly loving mothers, be there, being present. That's a blessing. Not everybody doesn't have that, But nobody is taught how to truly love in the manner of, I guess, like romantic. You know what I mean? So where do we go for that? You got books, you got TV, you got movie, you got the social media. You know what I mean? And I think I think parents are doing a bad job in that. I'm not gonna lie to you, not expressing what real love is. And honestly, some parents don't even know what real love is. You feel me? You know what I mean? So they can't even really give, I guess, they can't really give like the knowledge for it. They can't really talk about it like they should. Can't really give that actual reality of what love is. How it's so ugly. How there's gonna be turmoil in it. You know what I mean? How it's not all rainbows and Cinderella stories and shit like that. You know what I mean? I think, and the reason why I brought up the Cinderella, because it's a story about a poor, misused woman. You know what I mean? She's being abused and all that, but she gets swept away from a Prince Charming. You know what I mean? And that's not reality. That's not how love works. That's not how love truly is. You know what I mean? And I've never even seen that movie. I'm just speaking off of what I guess I kind of know what the premise of the movie is, but everybody knows what Cinderella is. You know what I'm saying? It's like every young girl, every young person has probably seen that movie, and if that's what they get love from, and they're not really taught that's not real, that's why these relationships are so fucked up because nobody really knows. Look at social media. Like love is either, I guess, shit lathered in luxury, or it's tormented in toxicity, bro. Like it's it's like it's either it's like those flashy cars, you know what I mean, trips to Dubai, shit like that, or you got Blueface and Chrissy on, whatever her name is. Like it's that type of shit. That's what we see, bro. But we ain't seeing the real shit. Like we like and think about what Tinder and like just those dating apps do. You know what I mean? We really out here just window shopping on people. You know what I mean? Swiping left, swiping right, seeing somebody by their picture. You know what I mean? Just making a perception of them. You know what I mean? We looking at these pictures and like, yeah, they cute, but damn, why her room dirty? Or he cute, but like, damn, he don't do nothing else. All you got is pictures. Where's his life? I don't see it. Now you make perceptions of people, and it creates thoughts. It creates those monologue of what a person may be, or what he should be, or what she should be. But it's not reality. And people aren't really taking time to actually get to know anybody anymore. Not really doing that because they believe that they already know who that person is. Now, me personally, I feel guilty passing judgment uh, when I when I'm on Tinder or something like that. You know what I mean? I download and undownload that shit on a weekly to monthly basis because it's like that shit is annoying, but it's also convenient, but it's also annoying. You know what I mean? It's one of those type shits. You know what I mean? And I truly, I truly question how I'm perceived. You know what I mean? Or I used to, because now I just ask. I'm not gonna care. I just ask. Like I don't want to come off as a dick. I don't want to come off as preachy. So I ask people like, how do I come off to you? You know, because I was very, well, I'm still introverted, but I was introverted and I was quiet as a young man. I always had an old soul. You know what I mean? With a messed up hairline and all that. That shit was busted. And I told myself I was ugly. You know what I mean? On a probably weekly basis. I looked in the mirror and I was like, nah, not him. You feel me? And those characteristics and those thoughts, they created something that we all suffer from, and that's probably anxiety. I think we all suffer from that. Anxiety used to make me sweat profusely, like dead ass. Like, nigga, I thought I had a condition called hyperhidrosis, which is basically where you just sweat hard as a motherfucker. That was literally just me being anxious as hell. Like I don't even, I barely sweat now, and it's crazy like how your thoughts can literally change your body, can literally change how you feel. You know what I mean? How you move, how you operate, how your whole body functions. It's wild. You know what I mean? My anxiety made me stutter. You know what I mean? Like that pig on Looney Tunes, and I couldn't even look people in the eye. This is my reality, I would say, for like 21 years of my life. You know what I mean? It wasn't until the age of 22 that I became aware of how I was perceived and and the reality of like who I truly was. And in my eyes, I believe I'm one of those ones. Now, once I started my mental work, things changed for me. The looks that used to create anxiety now create wonder. You know what I mean? And then it usually creates action after that. I'm gonna go up to that person that's looking at me because I want to know why. My speech is more clear, it's more concise, and now my eye contact is unwavering, even overbearing at times. I've been told. When people see me, they don't see all. though. They don't see everything. You know what I mean? I have what you. Well, I've been told that I have unapproachable face, resting bitch face. I guess you feel me. Um, Approachable is the word that I've been taught. What I've been told more than once though, and it don't make no sense to me. That approachable word is weird to me because no man gets approached. You know what I mean, by anybody. You know what I mean, not from a woman. You know what I mean, that's not what happens. With like, so I understand like I guess being approachable. I guess like having a less strained face, but you can't help how you look. And again, that's a perception. You know what I mean? Yeah, I look mean or whatever, but it's not my personality. It's not who I truly am. But that's a perception that can be cast upon me. You know, I was I just thought of something, bro. I was laid up with a woman one time, and she told me her heart was beating fast as a bitch. You know what I mean? And mine was steady. And she asked me if I was nervous, and I said no. You know what I mean? I had asked, "Are men usually nervous in that situation?" She was like, "Yeah." You know what I mean? And then later on, after we was said and done, you know what I mean? I had asked her like, cause when I get done with somebody, I ask them like what I didn't do, what I could have done, type shit like that, cause I want to be better, right? So I asked her like what made her disappear, and I was like, when she said that it was my energy. You know what I mean? It was strong. It was overbearing. It was there, and she said that she wasn't ready for it, and I appreciate that honesty. But her perception of me was that I was this perfect man, that I was like, I'm not. You know what I mean? I got flaws, I got pain, I got trauma too. You know, and just because the way I speak or the way I move, how I carry myself, I can be seen as this person who has it all together. No, I just work on myself. You know what I mean? And I have no problem sharing my work, my mental work, my physical work. You know, because I want everybody to have the same, I guess, like a change in mindset that I had. You feel me? My brother that I met, I guess, a year ago, right? He had told me that I was asleep and lying, right? He said that he saw that I picked up on things, with the quickness, and he saw me for me. You know what I mean? He saw my heart, and that's something I don't really show. You know what I mean? But I do it by action. I don't really be like, oh, I love you, man. Yeah, type shit like. But he had that. He saw it through me in a sense, like his perception of me wasn't, oh, there's something wrong with bro. It was like, nah, he got something in him. You know what I mean? The people that I'm close to, the people I get close to, they have that perception of me. They know who I truly am. They know how I carry myself, how I know how I love. You know what I mean? They know. But the people that don't, random people that I see, you know what I mean? They make assumptions, whether because of my skin color or the way I look. I mean, I was messing with a woman that I met probably 2 years ago, right? And she had told me that I look like a person who would cheat. She was like, I think you would cheat on me. And you know what I mean? I I, I took offense to it. You know what I mean? Because I think that was like, yeah, I'm handsome, and and I'm friendly when I get to know somebody. So you might be liable to cheat. You know what I mean? But that's like It's a perception. You know what I mean? Cause I'm handsome doesn't mean that I have all these women on my hip. You know what I mean? And that reminds me another thing that Shawty said. She said that I could be a great fuck nigga if I wanted to be. I don't know what that means. I mean, of course I know what it means, but like that is a weird thing to say. You know what I mean? It's just the expectation of what a man's supposed to be or how a man's supposed to act. Is just it's skewed in this world. You know, like a man's not supposed to have morals. He's not supposed to have a code of ethic. You know what I mean? We all dogs. It's not the case. And for the longest time, you know what I mean, my cousin day one, he told me that he saw like this, all this that I'm doing right now, he saw this in me too. And I always looked at him like, bro, I'm just rapping, bro. I don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? I'm listening to what you're saying. I'm gonna keep on trying to get better, but I don't know what you're talking about, bro. And I remember the first time I had brought him music. You know what I mean? It was on some rap trap shit. You know what I mean? I was talking about shooting niggas in their face, putting niggas in their place. Yeah, all that shit like that. Not my life whatsoever. But he didn't be like, cuz this ain't shit, bro. You need to stop rapping. Nah, he saw potential. But he could have been like, nah, bro. He could have been like, you need to stop this. You know what I mean? He could have made a, you know what I mean? He could have been like, yeah, this is where he's gonna be at because that's him. You know what I mean? That's his rap style, so he ain't never gonna change. And you know what I mean? My image of him is now tarnished because this is how you rap. But that wasn't the case. I mean, who knew I'll be on this? Who knew that trap song would turn into the music I make now? Turn into this podcast. You know what I mean? Who knew? Who knew? Like who knew, bro? Like nobody. If his perception of me was he ain't got it, really, nigga, you want some drill shit? Like, bro, I would not be doing this. I wouldn't be getting fucking emails from a random person saying like, bro, what you said that shit helped me. And that feeling right there, to know that somebody has listened and somebody has they have gotten help from what I'm saying. That's a feeling that I can't explain, bro, whatsoever. Um, that feels amazing. That is my only goal doing this podcast. Not for the money, not for the clout, but to help whoever hears this, man. Sorry, I went off on a little tangent there, but it's like I really care about this shit. But perceptions, bro. We create perceptions that create an expectation in the most general way. You know what I mean? People are not black and white. People are books. They're their own little world. You know what I mean? Their history is vast and everyone is different. So expectations and perceptions are more rather than less inaccurate. You know what I mean? Like I ask you, you know what I mean? You like how like really think to yourself. How do you view people? You know, when you see somebody, do you make an assumption about them? You know what I mean? Like if you're a woman and you see an attractive man, are you like, damn, I know he got bodies, or he wouldn't even look at my direction? He probably get around. As an introverted, like quote unquote handsome man, I've been told I'm handsome. Not every man is like that. You know what I mean? Not every man has that type of I guess cachet to him that they want to smash everybody. You know what I mean? And if you're a man, you know You look at a beautiful woman, do you be like, she a bitch? I know she is. Know it. Like, not had one word with her, but you know she a bitch. You know what I mean? Or she probably got high ass standards. Like, I don't even like. You don't know shit, bro. You're making an assumption. You're making you have a perception of her because of her beauty, but you don't know her. You don't know her life. You don't know her world. You don't know what she's been through. It's just it bothers me. You know what I mean? That's like it bothers me that that's how the world is. You know what I mean? That's the way that we judge people, the way we look at people, how we create stories in our heads about people. And the reality is way more complex, man. We create these inner monologues in our head about each other and ourselves. And trust me when I tell you that shit is exhausting. Now, I used to be a chronic overthinker. You know what I mean? Like, I would never get shit done. I would never. I had all these thoughts in my brain. I didn't know where to put them at. Thank God for my journal. Thank God for these books. Cause sheesh. Thank God for this podcast and my music. Cause sheesh, chronic overthinker. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure people do that too. You know what I mean? Just overthink. Have these thoughts in our heads. You know what I mean? Telling us we ain't enough. Telling us, you know what I mean? Something about this person. He like this. She like that. It's not the case. Perceptions and stereotypes are things that we have to throw away. We gotta throw them away, man. Now, we as people, we put people in boxes, based on the most minuscule things: race, gender, what they wear, how they speak. We just pass judgment on the people, and that shit disgusting to me. Truly, I don't. You know what I mean? Like, what do you expect out of life? I mean, that's a question I feel like everybody should be asking themselves. You know what I mean? Because in my opinion, life is random. You can have goals. You can have, you know what I mean, places to get to, steps along your journey, but life is random. You know what I mean? What you see on the TV, what you saw your parents do, what you saw your grandfather do, that's not how life is going to go for you. It's not going to go the exact same way. You have an expectation, and you have to understand that shit happens. For me, man, when I saw my grandfather raise all the children that he had, you know what I mean, work his ass off, I had a perception of what a man should be. And I based my whole personality around that man. I didn't hear my grandpa say a word. I didn't see anything he did. All I know is that he worked. He came home. He cooked. He loved his family, and that's a man. Ain't the case. You know what I mean? It's a lot more than being a man and just doing those things. You know, loving, putting food on the table. You know, what I mean? It's a lot more to life than that. You know, for a long time I wasn't living because I was living in a shadow. I was living to try to reach somebody else's life. Because I had an expectation of where mine was going. I thought I could literally, you know what I mean, just live a double life, be who he was, you know what I mean? You can't. You have to really ask yourself that. That's a question that you really have to ask. What do you expect from life? Really dig deep into that. Figure out what you want to be, how you want to be seen, how you want to be perceived, how you want to carry yourself. You know, because regardless of the matter, you know what I mean, people are going to look at you in a certain way. You walk in the room, they're going to instantly make an assumption about you. That's human nature. But what can you do to change the narrative? For me, I decided to read. I decided to put my thoughts out there. I decided to talk to people. So I changed my own narrative. Why can't you? I don't know, man. I was having this conversation with this shawty at work, and I asked her how she thought a man should be. What is her perception of a man? And she couldn't give me an answer. And I think a lot of uh, women would have the same answer, that they really don't know. You know what I mean? One thing she told me was that, like, you trust what a man does, not what he says, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing to go by. But she couldn't really tell me how a man should be. You know what I mean? How he should love. Even if somebody asked me, you know what I mean? Because when I answered that question, I was like, damn. Even to me, that's a hard ass question. I don't know the answer to that. Now, how should a man love, man? How should love be expected? Not many people know the answer to that. I don't either. I feel like you just had to be. You have to be there. No, not there. You have to be present. You have to be present with them, with whoever you are speaking to, whoever you want to give love to. It's like you can't really just, nah. Hey, how you doing? How you doing on the text? You know what I mean? Or like, oh, I hope you good. You know, we ain't talked in a while, but nah, bro, you gotta be there. You gotta be present. You gotta call. You gotta text. You gotta. And if they don't want to receive that love, then that's cool. But make sure that your love is felt. I don't know how I will ever. I don't know how I will be when it comes to love. I mean, I never been in love before. You know what I mean? But I study this shit. You know, and the reason why I never been in love is because I can separate the sexual from the real shit. You know what I mean, I think most people we do the sexual things first. Then we try to build something out of that, and then that's like, I guess, the perception of how that shit should go. It should be sex first. Make sure that you have that sexual chemistry, and sexual chemistry that adds up to having a stable and great relationship. You know what I mean? You have good sex, y'all gonna be together forever. That's how it, that's how it seems. It's not. Of course, it's not. But we ain't taught any other way. Not at all. I had a conversation about. I had a conversation like this with my cousin where we was talking about. Um, I'm gonna be honest with you. We was out performing, and I saw this woman, and she had on. And this is me making a perception because of what she was wearing. She had on a fit that had slits from her neck to her legs. You know what I mean? You could see the titties, ass, basically belly button, all that. You know what I mean? It was basically like you saw everything type shit. And we was having a conversation in the car, and I was like, "Hey, that shawty." She was like, somebody said something like, "Oh, she was bad. You know, she was good too. She was a great rapper and all that, but she was bad." And I'm like, Yeah, she was bad, but I wouldn't go for it. And my cousin was like, "Yo, why? Why?" And he was like, and I was like, "It's just what she was wearing." Like, and he was like, "Cuz you can't do that." And he was like, "For some women, that's the only way they know how to be sexy, because that's what they've been told their whole life. You know what I mean? That's what they didn't show them. Their last man was like, you can wear that. Their last man over sexualized them. The world over sexualized them. You know what I mean? So that's how they view they should be sexy. And I didn't think about it from that perspective. You know what I mean? Of course, I still don't want my woman wearing like revealing clothing. You know what I mean? She can be sexy. She doesn't have to be a prude. She don't have to be like all buttoned up. I'm saying like that's besides the point. Like, yeah, man. That's what. That's how beauty is perceived. You can scroll through social media right now and see nothing but cake and titties and fake lips, and there's little girls that are gonna see this, see that, and be like, "That's what beauty is," because their parents ain't telling them what beauty is. You know what I mean? Being comfortable with themselves, being happy with what they have, and their natural beauty. That's what real beauty is to me. But their parents ain't teaching them that, so they scrolling through social media, and that's what they see. And that shit sad. It's getting harder and harder. I mean, for our generation, because we're not being taught any of the core values anymore. We're not taught how to love. We're not taught how, you know what I mean? We're not taught how to talk to people. You know what I mean? We're on the phones 24/7. You can go out, you can see everybody walking, phone in their hand, not really paying attention to the world. You know, you could be on a date. Y'all got y'all phone swiping. Y'all not present with each other. I can't do that. You know, I was not present with the world for a long time, so I can't not be present anymore. You know what I mean? And whoever I meet, they have to be present as well. Doesn't mean that they have to know what I know, which I don't know a lot. You feel me? It's not like I know all the answers. I don't. But they have to be willing to have a different perspective, which is what I try to do. Like when my cousin told me that about that woman, I was like, okay, I understand that side as well. I still have my POV, but I understand that side as well, cause oh shit, I made a perception on that woman because of what she dressed and how she looked. Not really thinking about what she's been through or who she is. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna do that anymore. I'm not gonna make a perception of. I'm not gonna have a perception of who somebody is just by what they wear. I may not approach. I may admire their beauty from a distance, but I'm not gonna pass judgment. I can't do that no more. No. So even speaking about it made me feel like I could have been better than that. Like well, it's just in life you learn. You know what I mean? It's a learning process. You know what I mean? You figure things out as you go. You know what I mean? Again, we think life is just point A, point B. You don't see all the alternate timelines and that shit. You don't see all the fucking infinity stone snaps. You know what I mean? The incursions in reality, bro. You don't see those. You know what I mean? You just think it's A B. birth, death. Nah, bro. So much more to life than that. But yeah, this has been going on for about 40 minutes, and I feel like I haven't said enough. But I do hope that everybody that's listened to this, that they have come to a deeper understanding of what life truly is, how people truly are. You know what I mean? Hopefully they took something with them that they can give to the next person. Anyway, that has been Keep It Benji. I hope everybody hears this stays beautiful and they stay blessed, stay prayed up. Hope you have a good day.